Oh my word, this is a steal of a deal. And I say the steal of a deal because it is absolutely free of charge if you're watching this in real time. Let me just tell you what's going on here. Learning Strategies Corporation are offering the whole photo reading course, audio course, online, completely free. So all of these yellow boxes where it says playing now, you just press play, you get the material. You've also got your welcome message. So I'm going to let Pete Bissonette give you the overview of what you've got here, and then I'm going to talk you through a few things and tell you how and why photo reading blew my mind. And I came to photo reading at the time where in my 20s, I'd been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. My doctor said there was nothing he could do for me. And I suffered for years until I came across the photo reading. So I'm going to let Pete speak. While Pete is speaking, I'm going to do a quick refresh of the photo reading book. And I think this one is about 4 minutes. And then I'm going to talk you through some of the things that you get. Seriously, the price they're offering for this, if you did want to upgrade, they're doing 4 payments of $25, for goodness sake. That course now retails for close to $500. So I had to do a double take when I saw it, but you don't need to upgrade. All of this information is completely free. Wait, let me tell you the URL in case you just want to go, yeah, Marilyn, let me go and get it for myself. I'm going to say it and I'll maybe spell a few little bits. It's learningstrategies.com/PRBinge, BINGE 424/event AFF, so F for Freddy equals 4446. I will add that on the description, in the comments, somewhere, wherever you're watching this video. But head on over here now, do this whole thing free of charge. Let's hear the introduction, shall we, from Pete Bissonette.
Welcome to the Photo Reading Binge with Paul Sheila. I'm Pete Bissonette, President of Learning Strategies. You can learn how to use the Photo Reading Whole Mind system to process information faster with greater comprehension than ever before, which is important because information is being created and pushed at you so fast. You need to learn to deal with it, and it will make your life at work so much easier. So during the Photo Reading Binge, we're going to give you an incentive to learn how to mentally photograph the printed page, turning your mind into an information sponge. Yes, this will give you an edge in creating the success you want. Most successful people know how to deal with information quickly and decisively, and it's a lot easier than you may have imagined when you know how. Now, I challenge you to do the sessions this week and learn how to photo read. As you do the sessions in the binge, photo reading developer Paul Sheila will take you step by step through the process so you can apply your photo reading skills to every aspect of your reading. Books or business reports, news articles, or web pages. Yes, you can photo read on computers, tablets, and phones. You'll be absorbing information faster and more effectively. And you'll have great fun doing it too. Simply begin with the first audio session and systematically move through them one by one. And every night before going to sleep, listen to the Memory Supercharger Paraliminal. This will reinforce your learning because it works with your inner mind to improve your ability to concentrate, and it stimulates your memory for all the facts, details, and principles you're learning. If you haven't heard of Paraliminal before, you'll find it quite unusual and quite pleasurable. You see, you'll be hearing a voice in each ear speaking to different parts of your brain. It's a whole brain process, just like photo reading, which makes learning all the easier. And you have free use of the Memory Supercharger Paraliminal during the photo reading binge. You're most welcome to purchase the photo reading system, which you can do by following the upgrade link on this webpage. You'll receive all of the audio sessions from the photo reading binge, plus the fast finish sessions to help you go through them at an accelerated pace. You'll also receive the full and comprehensive manual. Now, I love the photo reading binge because it gives you the opportunity to try it for yourself for free. And I know you'll appreciate the luxury of going through the course at your own pace, which you can do when you upgrade. And best of all, you'll be able to repeat the program in the future. I recommend going back through the course in 6 months because you'll be able to take your photo reading skills to the next level. It's a very generative process and it keeps building on itself. Every time you go through the program, you'll catch something new and you'll keep challenging yourself to be better and better. That's how I got so good at it. Maybe you've seen me photo reading on YouTube at some of those ridiculously fast speeds. Now, please share the photo reading binge with anyone you know who might like a little help cruising down the superhighway of information. Heck, photo reading is a lot more than a little help. It can give you and anyone a massive advantage over information, and it can help you turn from a passive reader into an active reader, which can significantly boost your comprehension and retention of anything you read. And that leads to success, recognition, and respect. You will first hear from Lynette Ayers, one of our original master photo reading instructors. Lynette first learned photo reading way back in 1986 and has trained photo reading instructors from 36 countries around the world. But before you begin the main audio sessions, look for the handouts on this page because they will come in handy. One of them is the digital photo reading guide, which will help you when you're ready to photo read the photo reading book. Now, thank you for being here and binging on photo reading books. Remember to order your upgrade right now if you haven't already. It's on sale at the best price of the year. Listen to the Memory Supercharger before bed. Have fun and celebrate your genius.
Perfect. And I've just finished about, 45 minutes ago, I've just finished running the Genius Code Workshop, which is an online live, where we ran it live as a video webinar, created by Dr. Paul Sheely and Win Wenger. Delegates loved it. So it's really nice to come from the Genius Code into this. And the Genius Code is about how to activate your potential. Seriously, this is amazing. So all of these yellow squares, and I was kind of giving the heart for Lynette because Lynette Ayers trained me as well. So I did my photo reading instructor training in March 2002 with Dr. Paul Sheely and Lynette Ayers, and then Lynette flies over to my home country. So I went over to Minneapolis about 2.5, 3 weeks to study with both Lynette and Paul, come away for 6 months, get my head down, learn the material, plan my weekend workshop, which is a 3-day class, 2.5 days away. It's kind of structured and compressed down. And then Lynette flew to the UK, was here for 5 days. Put her up in a hotel. And then she sits in the back invigilating and just kind of, looking over the top of her glasses with her clipboard. And then you find out whether or not you've made the grade and you've passed as a certified photo reading instructor for Learning Strategies Corporation, which I did. And so I've been teaching photo reading at this point, if you're watching this in real time, for the past 22 years. I love it. And as I said, I was not having a good time with my brain at the time I came across it. So I was kind of desperate, but not actually desperate enough to do it. And I got the tapes, cassette tapes. They're actually still behind me here. Hold on. Got to be careful how I open this so they don't come flying out. But there we go. These were the original cassette tapes that I got back in the day in 1998. And then, even though I was absolutely desperate because I was studying to be a chartered accountant, but by that point I was having the problems with my mind and brain, so it wasn't like it was when I did my business studies degree or the postgraduate marketing diploma with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I was struggling. And so photo reading came on my radar because I was looking for, like speed reading, accelerated learning, and whoosh, photo reading landed on my doorstep. A letter came through the post back in those days, and it was talking about, drinking information in like you're drinking it through a fire hose, accelerating your learning, blasting through information. However, when I got to the bit where it's talked about 25,000 words per minute, I was like, whoa, okay, this has got to be hype, because you may know the average reading speed is anything from 250 to 349 words per minute. And they're talking about 25,000. I'm like, get out of here. Now, if you've got the photo reading book, you may have seen the story with Paul McKenna, who was photo reading at speeds of up to 1 million, that's million with an M, 1 million words per minute, then did a comprehension test, scored over 70%, that's 70. So, had the books, had the cassette tapes, had the photo reading activated paraliminal that you get with the course, and I just couldn't believe it could be true. So, put it on the shelf and struggled on doing what I know how to do already that was not working for me. I don't know if any of you have ever found yourself in that position before. In the year 2000, October 2000, I ended up by accident, it's a long story for another day, on an NLP practitioner training. There was a home study course that you do beforehand. So I had like 2.5, 3 months to do this thing. I had all the tapes, all the books, open book, copy out the book. listen to the tapes, write the answer down. You'd think I could do that, couldn't you? Wouldn't you? No, my brain was just so mushy, I just couldn't even pull that together. So I end up on the course and I had, I think, the worst test that was handed in. And they're like, who is this Marilyn? She must be lazy or stupid. What's going on here? So that was that. I was very skeptical because I only went to get a refund. Again, long story for another day, but that is not the mindset to go into something like this with, which requires an open mind. On the training, the person who's running the course was quoting names, dates, facts, figures, case studies, answering people's questions just like that. And somebody says, how do you remember all of this stuff? And they said, I read 20 to 30 books a month. I was like, well, clearly it doesn't get out enough. I'm like, who on earth has got time to read 30? That's 10, 20, 30 books a month. I'm like, whatever. Then somebody says, of course, how do you do that? And they pointed to the back of the room, to the resource table, and they pointed at the cassette tapes that I had had at home sitting on the shelf for 2 years. That's how I coined that phrase, shelf development, because my shelves had access to all this wonderful information. I wasn't touching it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? And by then I'd warmed up to the idea, because at first I was like, come on now. I was suicidal at that point as well. I contemplated suicide in September 2000, and this was in October 2000. It's just 4 weeks later. So I'm like, there's no way to just talking to someone and going up above your timeline, as I was kind of mockingly saying it in my head. And you know, hypnosis, there's no way that can change anything about how you are, how you feel, who you are as a person. Nonsense. Give me my money back. By the end of the course, I'd warmed up to the idea and my life was transformed. And so I decided I would come back 3.5 weeks later and do the master practitioner training. Now, if I thought the practitioner exam was hard, the master prac made that look like child's play. It was humongous in comparison. I mean, a friend of mine, Gina, that did the course, where's my black and red notebook? She had a different cover. Her answers filled a whole notebook in terms of doing the master practitioner test. It was a lot. And I had 3.5 weeks and I was studying to be a chartered accountant. So I still had lectures, etc. So what I decided to do was not do the traditional thing where you read word for word and try and wade your way through it and plow through it, which is what I tried to do with the practitioner. That did not work. I decided I was going to get them their tapes and I was going to listen with an open mind. I wasn't going to be, because when I first listened, I was like, a tangerine above my head? I don't think so. Preview in 90 seconds? Well, that's not enough time. Photo read a whole book from start to finish in 5 minutes? Well, that's not possible. That's not long enough to read anything. So I basically just poo-pooed the whole thing and I cherry-picked the tiny little pieces that made sense to me, like rapid reading, which it was back in those days. It was step number 5 and there are 5 steps in the photo reading whole mind system. Surprise, surprise, photo reading did not work. Now, do you think I blamed myself? Of course I didn't. I blamed this man right here, Paul Sheely, for creating a nonsense system that I knew was never going to work anyway. Now, if any of you know anything about NLP, mindset, what you might even call the law of attraction, you all know if you go into something with that mindset, it's not going to work and la, la, la. Surprise, surprise. No, you don't need a genie's lamp to tell you what's going to happen, do you? No. But back in the day, I didn't know anything about that stuff. So I basically just thought it was Paul and it was all Paul's fault and I'd wasted my money, blah, blah, blah. So I go home after practitioner. I know in 3.5 weeks I'm going to be back in the room and I've got to do this test and going to hand it in. So I put a goal in my timeline that the test was going to be amazing. I just get it back saying, excellent, well done, 0 corrections, which was completely different to the first time because it takes about 2 days to mark the practitioner test. For the next 5 days, I'm taking that blasted thing home every night with loads of corrections and mistakes and things I had to go and further research. So Master Prac is a 2 weeks, 14 days. Because the test is so big, it takes them a full 7 days to mark those tests versus 2 days for Prac. There's about 65, 70 people on the workshop. I think I was the only person who had 0 corrections. They gave my test to the same coach, who was one of the most experienced coaches, a lovely Marianne Diaz. And she wrote on it, it was like, it either said well done or excellent. no corrections. I was like, whoa, this is like magic. The following year, May 2001, I decided to do the NLP trainers training. Again, 3-week training culminates in a 1-day written exam. So about good 7-8 hours, something like that. Closed book exam conditions. I decided with my newfound photo reading skills, I wasn't going to study in the traditional way. I was going to follow the photo reading whole mind system. So use all the 5 steps, do the mind map, work with my mind and my brain and my memory in a completely different way. Using, when we're teaching the photo reading, we're using the multiple intelligences, taking you through the learning curve, using all of the senses and activating that whole mind, whole brain learning. So that's what I was doing at home following these tapes. I arrive on the day, which is pretty much it's the last day of the training. So I arrived to do the written exam. We're at the Hilton Hotel in Kensington, Olympia. I walk through the door. Somebody looked at me and said, Marilyn, how do you do a submodalities belief change? I looked at them. They looked at me. And I just burst into tears because I didn't know. My mind was blank. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? So I run into the toilets. I didn't want everyone to see me crying. And as people are coming and flushing the toilet, I could hear my $4,500, as in £4,500, what's that, close to $6,000, going down the drain. Because even though I passed all of the modules up until that point, in terms of the training, the facilitation, the demonstrations, and all of that, if you fail the written exam, everything you've done for the previous 3 weeks gets wiped out and you'd have to do the whole class again. And it will probably cost me more if I wanted to train with Tad James, because I think actually that was the only time that Tad had come to the UK to run the NLP trainers training. He was based out in Hawaii. So it would have been the cost of the training, which goes up every year, plus all of those flights and hotel, etc. So I'm doing the Oprah ugly cry. People are coming in, they don't really want to stare too long, but they're wondering what's going on. And Deborah Price came in after me, and I said, I've been an idiot. I didn't study. I didn't revise in the traditional way. I photo read. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know anything. My mind is blank. So she's trying to comfort me, like, we've got half an hour to go before this exam. So I go into the exam, sit down. Long story short, it went from, when I did my practitioner, who is this Marilyn Devonish? She must be lazy or stupid. Who is this Marilyn Devonish? Did she cheat when they were marking my NLP trainers training exam? Why did they think I cheated? Because it looked like I'd copied out of the textbook, and rather than the 7-8 hours, whatever it was, I was finished in 3 hours on the money. Now, before turning up for that exam, I put a goal in my time. I got goosebumps when I think about it. I put a goal in my timeline that says I was going to be finished in 3 hours. I was going to pass with flying colours. This seemed unlikely when I'm bawling my eyes out at the start of the day. But that's what happened. 3 hours on the money. Now, if you had asked me about this in September 2000, I would have said, there's no way that you could just put something up above your timeline, as a mocking way I was saying it in my head back then. There's no way you could put something above your timeline, use a bit of hypnosis, and have any kind of result from that. Good luck. That's what happened. My trainer's training exam is sat right in front of me, right there. May 2001. 3 hours on the money, job done. Blew my mind. And that's when I really started thinking, wow, not only is this brilliant for me with my early onset Alzheimer's diagnosis, and I started to think, what would happen? Imagine being able to teach this to other people who haven't necessarily got any problems with their brain, etc. They just want to learn to accelerate their performance, read faster, learn more, retain information, activate their creativity, switch on that critical thinking, that strategic thinking part of the brain. What would happen if I could teach other people? So that's kind of where the seed was planted, after seeing the amazing things that happened for me, and then the amazing things that were happening around me. There was one instance on because I was then a trainer of NLP. So I worked for the company that I did the training with as one of their trainers. So I'd be running the room, all that sort of stuff. And somebody came to me really angry, face like freaking thunder with the test, because the test is always stressful, always stressful. Well, for many of us, it was stressful, but it's quite, and if people get it back and they got corrections and they don't agree with what the coach has said, so because I was the lead coach and I was in charge of what's happening in the room, they came storming up to me with another group of people because they said, my coach has said this is wrong, but they wrote the same as me and their coach said it's okay, and really kind of laying into me. So I let them kind of get it out of their system. I said, let me see what you've written. So I read it and I said, let me see what you've written. And I read what the friend had written. And then I pointed out the distinctions between the two and why one of them was a pass and one of them required further revision, update, research. And they went, oh, okay. But before they went, they said, well, that's not what it says in the book. So I just leaned behind me because we're standing at the back of the room by the resource table. So I leaned behind me. I pulled the book up that they're talking about. And while we're talking, I just opened it seemingly at random. And it opened on exactly the right page. So I said, well, here it is. And I showed them what it said in the book. And everybody looked in and went, oh, yeah. And then they sort of went away in a little bit of a trance state. The next break, they came back and they brought friends. So there's a group of people standing around and they said, do the thing you did earlier. And I said, what? They said, well, we mentioned a topic and you just opened the book at exactly the right page. I was like, oh, yeah. And I was, this point I'm laughing. So I then pick another book. Now, the only time I'd handled the book that I picked, Hypnosis, it's the one that comes with the home study course, I didn't even really get around to looking at that in Master Prac. I was just too much going on in my head. But I, looked at it in Master Prac, trying to find the answer, practitioner, trying to find the answers. I photo read it when I did the Master Practitioner, and then it just sat on the shelf. If I were to go and get it right now, I can show you that book. It is still almost brand new. So I pick up the book. I said, okay, what are we looking for? And somebody shouts something out. So I went, yeah, okay. And I opened the book at random and it opened on the exact page. So I went, whoa. They all leaned in and went, whoa. On that training, now on a typical prac, we might sell 0 or 1 or 2 photo reading home study courses. On that training, based on the things that were happening, because then more people are coming, do it again, what about this, what about that? So we sold out of all the photo reading home study courses. We then had to order another batch, I think we shipped another 10 or 15 in, sold out of those. And then we're on the phone and they were on the phone then to the manufacturers. And then what we had to do is take people's addresses, and we then had to ship directly to addresses because we weren't going to get them in the room in time for us to distribute them. It was just crazy cool. But with all of that happening, I'm like, I need to know what's going on here. And I want to be able to teach this to other people who have an open mind or are willing to learn. So I ended up with just a couple of days notice, because it just so happened I called the United States. There was a telephone number on the back of the photo reading book. I said, I would like to learn. Do you have people who teach photo reading? So the person in reception said, hold on a moment, let me put you through. They put me through to Lynette Ayres, who Pete had mentioned, who's the master trainer. And she said, I understand you want to learn to be an instructor. Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, she said, where are you based? I'm in the UK. They're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she said, there was a moment of pause. And then she said, we're running a class next week, but it's full. However, this morning, someone dropped out. Tomorrow morning, the materials are going to press. Do you want us to print off the course materials? Can you make it in a week's time? I was like, I don't know. I said, I've got to speak to my boss, because now I'm working for the NLP training company. It just so happened there was a tiny little window where we weren't running prac, master prac, trainers training, presenting magically, secret of creating your future, because we used to just run these things back to back. So we'd run like, a prac 7 days, a day off, come back, run master prac sometimes, or we'd run a couple of workshops in between to give a little bit of breathing space if people were going straight from prac to master prac. Then we'd run the master practitioner 7 days on, 1 day off, 8 days on. It was like a steam train. It was the tiny little window in the schedule where I would only have to miss, I think, 1 or 2 days. And Paul, who was one of the trainers, very experienced, he was one of the trainers who trained me. He said, I'll stand in for you and run the room, because that's what he used to do before I came along. So I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then they said, oh, when did you complete when did you do the photo reading weekend workshop? I said, I haven't done it. And they said, oh, you have to have done it before you come for trainers training. This is absolute God's honest truth. I then start doing some research, and it just so happened that someone in South London was running a 2-day workshop, photo reading workshop, in their house the weekend before I was due to fly. So I booked myself on that course. I did the photo reading course on the Saturday and the Sunday. And I think it was like the Wednesday or the Thursday, I was on the plane to Minneapolis. It was that short notice. So I did not have a suitcase. So Paul, who was going to be standing in for me, he said, well, I'll run you to the airport. And I said, I haven't got a suitcase. What am I going to do? I haven't got time because we're working, we're running the trainings. And he said, let's just buy one at the airport. He said, put your stuff in rubbish black bags. We'll buy one at the airport. So I arrive at like Heathrow Airport, all of these great big black sacks. We go to the Samsonite shop or whatever it was in the airport, in the concourse, buy the suitcase. We open the suitcase in the middle of the airport, and Paul and I are on our hands and knees and we're tipping my clothes into the suitcase. So, when you get to security and they say, did you pack this case yourself? I went, yeah, if you check that security camera right there, you're going to see me packing this case, because we packed it in the floor on the airport. That is how short notice it was. And so I slide into Minneapolis just before the course is due to start, having only a few days before completed the weekend certification class, which is the one that you would attend if you're not an instructor. And the rest, as they say, is history. So, it's been quite a ride and quite a journey. I'm still super excited about photo reading because it's the start of a journey. It keeps growing, it keeps evolving, it keeps unfolding. You keep discovering wonderful, what I call those light bulb moments, those aha moments. Seriously, it is the gift, G-I-F-T, that keeps on giving. And when I say this is the investment of a lifetime, that doesn't even do it justice. Incredible. So use the link that's in the comments description, wherever it is on this video. If you want further information, my website is transformationstm.com/photo reading. That's www.trance, as in hypnotic trance, because I'm a hypnotherapist as well, F for Freddie, so FORMATIONS, TM as in trademark, so transformationstm.com. If you do /photo reading, it will take you to the page where you can actually see the photo reading home study course for yourself. You can see the price of that course, which is now in alignment with what they charge with regards to the photo reading course at Learning Strategies themselves, plus including the shipping. You'll see that I am telling you the truth when I tell you about the course, the value of this course, and the differential between what they're offering here. What I will probably also do is I'm going to go to the website, transformationstm.com, click the red What's New button, a panel will slide out, and what I will do is you'll see a banner similar to this. It says Photo Reading Binge, and I will add the link to that page as well, because it's, as I said, it's learningstrategies.com/PR binge 424/event F for Freddie, AFF for Freddie equals 4446. That's a little bit of a mouthful, let's be honest. So I'll add it to the transformationstm.com page, click the red Watch New button, have a little bit of a scroll depending on what else I've added to it since I've added this. But you can then get yourself here. You don't even, there's no registration. Well, there is. You put your name and email in so they know where to send you the link to access the page that I'm on, because the page I've given you is a registration page. But then you're in, all you do is press play, click here it says, and then it takes you to the page, and that's it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you know someone who could benefit from this, send them this link. I'm sure they will thank you for doing it. Also, just want to say thank you to my photo readers, those of you who have come through those photo reading doors, whether you've attended my in-person workshops, whether it's been the online live video webinar workshops, whether it's been the on-demand video webinar workshops, which you can take at any time you like, similar setup to this, but it's video rather than audio. And also, if you do want to take a class, an in-person class or online, let me know. With the in-person, if you wanted to do a bespoke class, minimum of 3, maximum of 6 people. So if you've got a group of you that want to learn this together, then let me know, and I'm going to run some bespoke classes moving forwards from here. Now I shall have a bit more time in my diary to do that, and then, you know, once or twice a year I will still schedule the it's on this date, be there or be square dates. But the bespoke, I think, is a nice way to go as well, so people don't have to wait for there to be an opportunity in my calendar. And one of the things people often ask is, can you learn it one-to-one? Yes, you can. So I do photo reading coaching. I'm a coach and therapist, have been since the year 2000, so for the past 24, coming up to 24 years at this point. And as you can see from the images here, another question is, what age? Yes, it's great for students because the obvious in studying. However, you could be an executive, entrepreneur, CEO, team leader, suitable for all ages. In terms of my own workshops, youngest workshop attendee was 7. That was a wonderful Eve. She had her 8th birthday while we were in the room. So we got her cake and all that sort of stuff. And the more mature, I would say he was in his mid-70s, maybe a little bit older. He didn't tell us his age, but a retired wing commander. So everything from 7 to 70 plus have walked through those doors as well. Key prerequisite is an open mind. So you can use it for academic studies. You can also use it if you just want to get back into the joy of reading. And so you don't have to be taking an exam. And I've had everyone from crystal healers, consultants, lawyers, accountants, managers, neurosurgeons, you name it, everything in between as well. So it's not subject dependent. It's just so cool. Anyway, I shall leave it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you to the people who have made it possible for me to be a photo reading instructor, because if you're not coming through those doors, there's nobody there for me to teach. So I appreciate you all, and feel free to share this. If you've actually taken a photo reading class, then, you know, share a few words. And if it's been a while and you want a refresher, because you will know when you attend the class, you get a lifetime refresher certificate, which means you can retake the 3-day workshop whenever you like, as many times as you like, anywhere in the world. You don't have to ever pay for the course again. That's if you've done the in-person 3-day workshop. You do the class for free. You just cover the cost of being in the room. So if you want to do a refresher, this is an even easier way to do it, because it's right here on your desktop at your fingertips. So enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Take advantage of the ridiculously low pricing that they're offering. Wow. And yeah, happy photo reading. Marilyn Devonish, the NeuroSuccess coach and certified photo reading instructor, over and out. Catch you all later. Happy photo reading.